Little brisk out there for y'all? When I was up north, that'd be a sunscreen day. Nice and warm. What would you like to talk about? Anything?
Yeah, Coach, right here. Just was curious about what the conversations were like with Jaden this offseason, about what you guys really wanted to focus on with him this spring. If you could just go into some detail about that.
Yeah, I think, when Jaden made the decision to come back, I think there's, a number of things that are on the table for discussion. And, you start with, the physical development, right? Certainly, looking at, how we can put together a plan for his, strength and conditioning. So we went into look, part of this is we had to recruit him back too, right? So we had to give him a comprehensive plan as to, what we were going to do in the weight room, how we were going to continue to develop him, technically as a quarterback, all of those pieces. And then, utilizing the resources that we have here. We have, VR, we have the ability to, train year-round, having receivers here for him. It was really just having a comprehensive year-round training program for him right here, and then providing him the opportunity to do other things as well. As you know, he went out on the West Coast and trained with, other elite quarterbacks, providing him the contacts to do that. So I think more than anything else, it was just really continuing the development of a quarterback that's in that stage. And when we were able to meet and he saw that we had a comprehensive plan, I think it helped him make his decision.
Coach, what would your analytics tell you about the guys that were with you at this time last year, where they're at now, strength and conditioning wise, and do you like where they're at?
Oh yeah, it's quite different. I can give you a couple of pieces of information not this past Friday, but the Friday before we left. We had 9 players run 20 miles an hour or more. We only had 1 at that second practice the year before. So that tells us a little bit about our speed and strength, being much more deeper within our entire team. I think we've looked at all of our numbers, and it's pretty clear that, our football team is bigger, faster, stronger. Now, you've got to be able to translate that as well. We clearly feel like we've addressed some depth needs, but you wouldn't know that today. We've got 8 healthy linemen out there, so we're actually in a different position than we were last year, and that we have to be a lot more careful in terms of what we're doing. We've got some help on the way, which will help us during the season. But I think each year what we're looking for is what you mentioned. We want to be physically stronger, faster, bigger, faster, stronger as a team, and we are.
Brian, when Deshawn Womack signed, y'all said you envisioned him kind of as a jack linebacker. He seems to have put on quite a bit of size at this point. When he is healthy, do y'all still see him there, maybe at defensive end?
I think he's got some flexibility as a guy that could play the big end position, but we haven't ruled out how we play him. Is he a stand-up 2-point player in a manner that he's 100% of the time a jack linebacker? No, probably not. But it doesn't mean that we can't be in 4 down and he can stand up and drop in a limited fashion to change the looks up because he is so athletic. So your observations are right on, but we think that his athletic ability still lends itself to having some of the traits necessary to, put him in a hybrid position.
Hey, Coach, when you look at Emory Jones, a 19-year-old true sophomore, seems like he's well beyond his years of maturity and leadership. But what are you seeing out of a guy like that who talks about winning national championships and wants to be a leader?
Well, it starts with how he handles himself, away from the field. I mean, he makes good choices, good decisions. He's never on a list. And when I say a list, he's never on an academic report. He's never on any of the lists relative to being late to anything. He's reliable. I was telling our guys the other day, in my 3 decades of being head coach, if there's one question I'm asked over and over from GMs and head coaches, is he reliable? Is he going to be on time? Can I count on him? This is a guy you can count on, and we can count on him as a true freshman, and now going into his – well, he's not a sophomore yet. He's still in his freshman year. He's so reliable, and that just goes to his parenting, his background, his high school, where he came from. He's exceptional.
Hey, Coach. With a guy like Denver Harrison, just given some of his history, what made you feel confident that he could fit into what you're building here?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we did a lot of research. This was not a decision that we just said, here's a great player. He had to fit. We felt like, we did our due diligence in terms of his background, and there's an affiliation with LSU here with the family. He had a lot of people speak on his behalf. He had a number of interviews with Coach House and myself, and we felt with the culture in which we have put together here that he would make it here because the culture is really strong, and it's proven to be that he's done well early on, and he has no choice. He has to make it. So here's a guy that has been given a second chance, and we feel like because of the circumstances, the culture is strong. He knows that this is really his last chance at an SEC opportunity, that it was worth the risk, and so far so good.
Hey, Brian, obviously your Jack room is pretty much all new guys for the most part, and you decided to bring Coach Jancic to be full-time focus on that. I guess what was your outlook this offseason on that room, and what are you seeing so far?
Yeah, so there's young players in there, but we brought some transfers in there. So Ovi Agufu has played a lot at that position in a similar role at Texas, and we felt like him and certainly Braden Swinson are two guys that had a little bit more of a veteran kind of presence with some young players, and we felt like that was the kind of mix that we were looking for. And that's proven to be pretty good right now. Ovi's been really good as a leader, as a mentor right away to some of the young players. And I think some of the young kids have shown themselves to be a little bit further along than we thought. And that will be a position that continues to evolve, but I think we wanted somebody coaching that position on a full-time basis because of certainly, you look at what we're asking that person to do. It's hard sometimes for the defensive line coach to break away all of the responsibilities of that position in terms of coverage and such when you're coaching the interior. So that's why we wanted Coach Jancic to be focused on that with the special teams.
Coach, the new rules to allegedly speed up the game, are you in favor, and do you think that fewer plays is a disadvantage to the better team?
I'm in favor of the rule. I think it's good for college football. I think it is getting to the point where, as long as it's stopped the last 2 minutes before, halftime at the end of the game, I still think you have the ability to come back and be part of, comeback opportunities. I see it this way. The NFL's done a great job of taking every play and maximizing each one of those and each one of those opportunities, whether it be through shifting and motioning and trying to get the defense in positions where they're leveraged. And I really think that offensively, some college offenses have gotten away from that, and they're just trying to run as many plays as they can. And I think it puts an emphasis back on execution. And you better be offense that executes and does a really good job from play to play. And you can't be loose and careless. You have to be focused and really disciplined offensively with these changes.
Coach, right over here. With the wide receiver room, have you seen Malik in the early goings of the spring kind of step up and show some leadership qualities and taking the reins of that top guy in that room? Maybe you can even throw Brian Thomas in that category as well.
No, I think that's Malik as the leader of that room. And look, I mean, I think there's so many things that you have to do on a day-to-day basis to get that. Like, he's made some poor choices, but yet, he makes great choices on a day-to-day basis. And that is, he trains hard. He is a guy that, when it comes to, his academics, he takes care of those things. He's a good teammate. As I said earlier, he's reliable. He's on time. He's a good teammate. He's respectful. So he does have those traits in the room, but he's got to keep doing it. I don't know that we're passing out C's for the shirts right now, but he's showing those kind of markers where people are starting to look towards him as the leader in that room.
Yeah, Brian, I know you only had a couple of practices before the break. Have you kind of already looked at maybe position changes for people or certain guys or discussions over last week? Maybe we should look at this guy, this position?
Honestly, the only positions that we've made are to function in practice, and that is we moved a couple of guys on the offensive line just so we can, get some good work in practice. I think the only real, and we did that at running back too. We moved Jack at the running back position just to get us through because we're so thin there as well. The only position that opens us up to potentially moving some people around is we have some pretty good depth in the backfield. Is there another safety possibility? Is there somebody that can move around in the backfield? That's yet to be determined. That will be an area that we'll continue to look at because there is some guys there that could possibly play a couple of different positions. I don't know who they are right now, and we'll continue to monitor that. But I don't see anywhere else that really would put us in a position where somebody would move to the other side of the ball.
Coach, here on your left. Could you just shed some light on how special teams will be coached up and different roles with different guys?
Mm-hmm. So John Jancic will coordinate, which will be the voice of what we're doing. And we're not – I was really happy with our scheme. I thought, as I did a deep dive on what we did special teams-wise, we fielded the ball poorly last year. We we certainly, we're in a position where a walk-on was our kicker, and he had his moments, but he had some big kicks as well. I thought our punter was excellent. Our long snapper was excellent. So when you talk about the individuals, we had to address kickoff return and punt return and who that person was, and I think we went out and did that. But from a schematic standpoint, I like what we do. So there won't be many changes. There'll be some coaching points and some tweaks here and there. So John will be that voice. Lester Erb will stay in his role as an analyst. And let me be clear about analysts. Analysts, can't go out and coach like one of the 10, but they are allowed now to be more active with the assistant coaches. And so Lester Erb did a great job last year of putting together our game plans, and I thought our game plans were really good. So he'll continue in that role. And then the assistant coaches, and in particular the coordinators, will take an active role and a responsibility in each one of the units. So this is much more of a coordinator who will have the singular voice, but it'll be a team approach to the special teams this year.
Hey, Coach, down here, Josh Sibley with One Team Media. You saw Mason Smith run around doing non-contact drills. How important? What's the timetable for his recovery, and how important will it be to get him back in the depth chart?
Well, it'll be immense. I mean, we didn't have, look, I mean, we had great edge presence last year, right? It was pretty obvious, like with Harold and BJ. But you could fan one side and chip or move the back to the other because we didn't have a great inside pass rush presence. Now you put Mason to the inside. If you do that this year, I don't know how many sacks he'll have. You can't single block him. We couldn't. So when you start to fan to him, and when I say fan, when you start to move the center to him or use a back inside, now you're going to leave our edge players one-on-one, and we'll have a really good balanced pass rush. So he brings that presence, which we didn't have last year. We had 9 guys out today that factor into our 2 deep and significant playing time. 8 of the 9 will be back when we begin our summer program in the first week in June. The 9th is Armani Goodwin, who won't be back until camp starts. So they're all in great position. They're all doing well. They're all moving actively. So, we're in the middle of March. These guys are on schedule to be full go, doing everything, by the time we come back, in the first week in June. Good? All right. Thank you.